Let's jump right into this explainer. We're tackling a word today that gets tossed around boardrooms constantly, but honestly is rarely truly understood: business strategy. Think about it. Every company claims they have one, but actually turning that totally abstract concept into a concrete, actionable framework? Well, that is a massive challenge. Today, we're going to completely demystify strategy. We'll break it down from this high-level idea into a tangible pyramid of execution that you can actually see and, more importantly, apply. To really set the stage for why this matters, think of this quote: "Without strategy, an organization is like a ship without a rudder, going round in circles. Without a clear strategic direction, all your top talent, your capital, your hard work, it's just expending energy without making any real forward progress. You're adrift." Honestly, an organization without a strategy is kind of like a tramp with no place to go, just wandering. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. First, what is strategy? Second, the control document hierarchy. Third, 5 tasks of strategy. And finally, who steers the ship? Section 1. What is strategy? The origins and core concepts. So before we look at modern businesses, do you actually know where the word strategy comes from? The military origins of this are literally centuries old. It comes from the ancient Greek word strategia, which translates directly to generalship. Since the whole concept has these deeply rooted military origins, it makes the most sense to start our analysis right there. And this brilliantly illustrates the connection. In military terms, strategy is all about maneuvering troops into position before the enemy is engaged. Now look at business strategy. It's the deployment of resources to achieve organizational goals against the competition. We're literally just substituting the word troops with resources. It's all about how managers deploy those resources to attract customers, grow the business, and ultimately win against some fierce competition. Moving on to Section 2, the control document hierarchy, structuring the organization's rules. Now, what's really interesting about this is that knowing you need to deploy resources is one thing, but actually doing it across a massive organization, that requires a highly structured hierarchy of control. Just look at this pyramid structure. It represents a precise spatial map of exactly how a company's mandate cascades downward. At the very top, you've got the charter. That's the ultimate mandate, with a lifetime of up to 10 years, approved by the CEO. Notice how the volume is just 1 at the top. But as you move down the pyramid, from policy to standards and guidelines, all the way down to processes and procedures at the base, the volume becomes many. The scope narrows from these broad business requirements at the very top down to the highly specific day-to-day requirements at the bottom. Strategy flows top-down. It dictates the rules of engagement at every single level. So the absolutely crucial point here is that this entire pyramid serves one singular, unified purpose. Strategy is designed to solve the critical problems that affect the success of the total enterprise. The whole pyramid ensures that every single resource, from the executive suite right down to the operational floor, is properly aligned so the enterprise can successfully execute its ultimate overarching vision. Section 3. 5 tasks of strategy. The sequential steps to execute the vision. Okay, now that we've got our pyramid constructed, what's the actual work being done? Let's methodically walk through the 5 tasks required to make that vision a reality. Because listen, skipping even one of these can totally sink the ship. Step 1, formulate a strategic vision. Decide the long-term direction of where the organization is headed. Step 2 is absolutely critical. Set objectives. This is where you convert that lofty, long-term vision from step 1 into specific, measurable performance outcomes. Step 3, craft the actual strategy to achieve those outcomes. Step 4 is implement and execute that strategy as efficiently as possible. And finally, step 5, evaluate performance. I want to spend a second on that final step, evaluation. Because, strategy is never static. It's a living, breathing process. Once you execute, you have to look at actual performance and be ready to initiate corrective adjustments to your vision, your objectives, and your strategy. So what triggers these adjustments? Real-world factors. We're talking changing market conditions, brilliant new ideas popping up, unforeseen new opportunities, and of course, the hard lessons learned from actual experience. You just have to adapt. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, who steers the ship, assigning roles within the strategy pyramid. Because frameworks definitely don't execute themselves, let's connect these tasks to the actual human beings required to perform them. Look at the top level of our pyramid. You have your CEO and senior executives. They hold personal authority over major strategic decisions. They're the direction setters and strategy makers. Moving to the middle, you've got your vice presidents and functional heads. These are the leaders of production, marketing, HR. Their job is to deliver that measurable performance we talked about in step 2. And then, down at the operations level, you have your managers and department heads, who hold direct responsibility over major business areas, right down to profit and loss responsibilities. Now, while it absolutely takes a village, it's vital to recognize the person at the very top. The CEO is the most visible and ultimately the most important strategy manager in the organization. I mean, they wear multiple hats. They are the chief direction setter, the chief objective setter, the chief strategy maker, and the chief strategy implementer. They carry the ultimate personal authority for the entire strategic game plan. The buck stops there. However, the CEO certainly doesn't work alone. Business units, divisions, staff, plants, support groups, district offices, they all play absolutely crucial leading and supporting roles. They are the workforce that takes that mandate from the top of the control document hierarchy and literally turns it into operational reality. Every single person has a role to play in bringing that strategic game plan to life against the competition. And that brings us to the most important question for you as a focused learner. Now that you understand the origins of strategy, the control hierarchy, those 5 sequential tasks, and the specific roles involved, where do you fit in? Seriously, I challenge you to locate yourself within that control document hierarchy. Which of the 5 tasks do you directly influence every single day? And most importantly, how are you helping to deploy your organization's resources against the competition? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this gives you a whole new perspective on executing strategy. Catch you next time.